go.
Hey everybody, welcome to our lean meeting. Today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit. I'm walking you through our warehouse and showing you some of the lean changes that we've done in the past year or two and how they're impacting our operation and how we're all benefiting from them. And these changes weren't just done by myself, they were done by our warehouse staff down here. So without further ado, let's walk on inside. Hey, all right, we're back on here. Just want to show you guys some that are between Fraser and Mark Jerome. They went through our shelving here and they labeled each item with a label that can be clearly seen. And just by doing this, we've really sped up the time that it takes to put away product and replenish product here in the mornings, and later on the picking that's done by all the warehouse staff. Right here we have one of the Kaizens we did earlier on this year, which was our will call Kaizen. We set up a sign on a location at the counter that the customers could easily see, and once they're standing in front, the staff knows that they're here to pick someone up. So it really sped up the time it takes for them to get their stuff and be out of here. All right, here we have our will call filing cabinet. And I just wanted to show this because this thing has moved around several times, and that's, you know, this has come to rest here at the counter, which is the quickest spot for our counter staff to be able to help our customers with. So kind of a continuous improvement thing. The original location where we had was no good, and we moved it around a couple of times. Now it seems to be working until we move it next. Actually. All right, here we have our unit of measure area where we ran into a lot of problems continuously picking the wrong amounts of product, and also at inventory, when we did counts of these items, we always got the wrong count because there's no way of telling necessarily how these things are entered in the computer. So what we did is we grouped all these trouble items together. We made labels for the totes saying basically how they're to be shipped out, and it's cut way back on the errors. And you know, also during inventory, it's much easier to get a proper count on these goods. All right, so this is a very good example of something that was thought of, only took a couple of seconds to actually implement it, and something that helps us on a daily basis. We had our yellow receiving carts, and they would be all over the place in the past. And what we found was we had a hard time going past them to do our picking, and late at night we had a hard time plugging in our carts to the chargers. So simply by putting the two lines, making a lane for the carts to go into, it got rid of that problem. Yeah, just moving right along, we have an idea that Lyle came up with a couple of years ago, and his idea was to, rather than have all these bankers boxes with a bill of ladings all over the place, to group them together month by month, year by year. So makes it much easier for our sales staff to get a bill of lading if they're looking for whichever date they're looking for. All right, here we have our supply area, which these are the supplies we use in everyday warehouse activities. These used to be put into locations all throughout the warehouse randomly. So if you ran out of shrink wrap, it would be anybody's guess. We'd have to go to the computer and figure out where the product was. And the counts were always wrong because people would go there, pick the stuff, and not subtract it in the system. So what we did is we've grouped all these products together. Much easier visually to see what we have, and if we're running out of anything, we can reorder the goods right away. And also by switching to Uline, which is something we did about 2 years ago, we've had substantial savings in buying supplies. Rather than buying from local wholesalers, we're buying them all from Uline. And I believe this is an area that if WESCO decides to group all its distribution centers and branches and we all buy from Uline, we could even get greater savings. Here we have our floor rack here, basically, which it's probably the best it's ever been since 1996, where we first put it in. Sean Giesbrecht spent about 2 to 3 months going through every lane in this floor rack. He has relabeled them all with location stickers that now scan, and we have group products. So this is our data area here, and we have all our fastest moving data items that have been put in here. Now the way that he's done it now, it's very easy to maintain. very easy to replenish, and it really has sped up the counter rather than them going throughout the building randomly to fill orders. Bulk of what they're looking for is in this one area. Just a quick thing on our recycling program here. We are going green, and we found out, I think 2 years ago, that rather than taking bins continuously on a monthly basis to the recycler, we can set up a contract with Urban Impact, and they drop off their own bins here and they pick them up once weekly. So we've really, we had all kinds of cages that we would fill continuously. We've moved away from that. We had our own F&G drivers that would continuously be taking the cages to the recycler. That's been done away with, and they charge us, I believe, $40 a month for this service. So it helps them by getting the cardboard and helps us for not having to use our drivers. We're good to go. This is an area where Greg came in here, and it took him, I think, 2 or 3 weeks to do this project, where he took one section out of each of these aisles, therefore giving us a much wider working area and giving himself a lot more space to store incoming skids. So it was a case where we weren't utilizing all the racking, and rather than looking at empty racking every day, he made a couple of changes that made his life and all our lives a lot easier by doing it. All right, welcome to an old area of the warehouse, which I'm sure some of you have been to. Steve Epps, Debbie, Carol, Dave Kennedy, Sean Giesbrecht. This used to be a kind of a graveyard area where we would store our returns and defective goods. So that was a Kaizen earlier this year that Greg was involved with as well, where they went through and went through every item, threw out what was to be thrown out, and the stuff that was good that we're going to return later on to the manufacturer, we have situated in a new area with location. What I was talking about, the product has moved. This is our new defectives area. As you can see, it's much neater than it used to be, and everything belongs to a location. Much easier to find product when it comes to do a big return. All right, we have our Burnaby shipping office here. That's we did a little Kaizen on also earlier this year. After we discovered a little unwanted guest in here, there was a rat in here that was eating whatever it could and leaving some little nuggets behind for us. So we went through here and pulled everything out, patched up all the walls, fixed up all the holes, and painted the office, got a new desk in here for Dan, and got rid of basically everything that didn't belong in the office. So it took a couple of days, but you know, much cleaner, not ashamed of walking people in here anymore to talk. This is a great example of Kaizen here. This area was something that myself, Vlad, and Dan did about 2 years ago. We only had one computer terminal at the time, and everybody had to wait to use it between the pickers and the counter staff. So what we did was originally move the bench over to this area, did a pretty good job on it, got it working, and then Vlad, who was using the area at the time, came up with several other changes that we implemented since, and it's really has many of the things that Lean's all about. We have all our phone numbers, all of our stickers that are needed. He has a couple of computer terminals, and he's able to do a lot of the shipping function and his picking function right from this location. So he's really done a great job, and also given a presentation on this bench to our Lean teams in the US.